let's get back to the show here, and we can welcome in our special guest. He covers the Detroit Lions and the Detroit Pistons. Does them both for MLive.com. One of the best in the business. Good friend of the show, Mr. Kory Woods. Kory, how are we doing, my man?
Hey, I don't even know if you guys can see me right now. My computer is on its last legs. I don't know what happened, but I cut it on. The screen is glitching, but I'm like, you know what? This might be my last podcast on this computer. So let's go.
He is, you know what? It's just everything's falling apart this week, Kory. Lions fall apart. Kory's falling apart. We can't have you fall apart, Kory. We just can't. We need you. You're the glue guy. And I need to ask you things here. All right. The Lions lose to the Packers in that fashion. What is your initial reaction? You're watching the game. You're covering the game. When that game ended and the clock hit 0, where was your mind at in that performance? Because this is a team that you've been covering, and they haven't put together a performance like that, Kory, with the team being good since essentially Baltimore when they got blown off. They got beat the brakes off in Baltimore.
Well, I think this is worse than the Baltimore game, because at least with the Baltimore game, you just knew they lost to a better team, but things just did not go their way. Baltimore was the better team. You just knew that. This one was just a team that just did not prepared to play a down of football at all. And I think that, there's been a lot of overreactions, and understandably so, because it's not the fact they lost. I mean, fans can't win every game. Green Bay is a playoff team. It's a team that was already going to be in the run for winning this NFC North. I think the problem is how they lost. They just did not look prepared on either side of the ball, and that's not something you normally see from a Dan Campbell team. Things looked very clunky, and I know we're probably going to get into it about the defense, but for a while I've been saying my biggest concern is not the defense. I think they can figure that out. My biggest concern was offensive line, because if Jared Goff does not have time in the pocket, that's where the whole thing falls apart. And that's exactly what you saw in that game. 9 quarterback hits, 4 sacks, and that's because you have to replace a generational center and a Pro Bowler and generational center and Frank Ragnow, and a Pro Bowler and Kevin Zeitler. So that to me is where one of my biggest concerns is like, whoa, you really see how important Frank Ragnow was to this team, because things just did not look right for Jared Goff at all.
Yeah, Kory, I'm just going to start off with that then, the offensive line, because I had mentioned yesterday, I think like the main part of this football team has always been the O-line. And then the biggest part of it is the run game. And I feel like that always opened up this offense when it comes to play action and everything with Jared Goff. And obviously, like the run game, even 2 yards per carry essentially was what they got on Sunday. And that seemed concerning. Do you think that's something? And if so, like, how do you think they figure this thing out with that interior? Because it is with Tate and Christian Mahogany so young. And then Graham, obviously, I don't want to – it seems like every clip that I see, people are posting, and obviously it's easy to clip the worst ones, but it seemed like Graham just completely struggled again on Sunday. How do you see them kind of turning this thing around, especially in the run game as well?
You know what? I'm not quite sure, to be honest right now, because I'm glad that said something earlier today, which is what I thought should have happened in the preseason. I don't think that you needed to play all of your starters in the preseason, but when you're having to replace those type of guards, that a Pro Bowl center, I think they played in the preseason just to be able to kind of work some of the kinks out, figure a few things, see things in real time. Because, I mean, I know Dan likes to join practices, and then, they're able to simulate what crowd noise is, but you're not able to really simulate it to the real degree. Being in a hostile environment, you can play the speaker up loud, but you're not able to really simulate being in a hostile environment. You're not able to really see things in real time. So this is going to be one of those things where they have to learn on the fly. They didn't look too good last year to start out the gate, and I think that was also because they didn't play their preseason. That offense, I mean, let's not have revisionist history. If you go back and watch that game against the Rams, won the game, but they didn't look great. They didn't look great over those. They didn't look great against the Buccaneers when they lost that game. So it's probably going to take a couple of weeks for them to get stuff where they need to be. And I know fans are not going to be patient. I think that's going to happen. It's going to have to take a couple of games to kind of get this right.
Now a word from our sponsor, Sleeper Picks, because you can participate and go over to Sleeper and try and win up to 1,000x your money. All you got to do is use the promo code CT Sports, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. You predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions. You just pick more or less than the predicted stats, and you have a chance to win. I have my picks for Chiefs, Eagles, rematch of the Super Bowl. I have more Saquon Barkley's rushing yards, more Juju Smith-Schuster's receiving yards, more A.J. Brown's receiving yards, and more Travis Kelce's receiving yards. You can either copy my picks or use your own picks. Again, use the promo code CT Sports, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Shout out to Sleeper for always sponsoring the content. Now let's get back to the video. Yeah, Kory, the big thing too is people are talking about the offense, obviously, and the offensive coordinator, you kind of alluded to the offense last year struggling a little bit. Where do you think the fans should be at with John Morton? Because, I think where people are coming from, and last night the Bears losing obviously helped that a little bit, but to start off the scripted side of the Bears game, Ben Johnson, people are seeing that offense and they're like, oh gosh. In John Morton's offense, to your credit and what me and Booner have been talking about, it's hard when the offensive line just can't protect Goff and you can't run the ball. It doesn't help him, obviously. But just from like a schematic standpoint, what's kind of been your takeaway with the John Morton stuff? Because Anzalone said if you're overreacting to the coordinators, you're not highly intelligent. Where are you kind of at with like your panic level, and not Kelvin as much as John Morton? Are you kind of, what's your 1 to 10 kind of thing? Where are you at with John Morton? You willing to give this thing more time, or you have a little more urgency to see a better offense this week against the Bears?
So would 10 be like the highest level of panic, and 1 be the lowest? Obviously, okay.
Yeah.
I would say right now I'm at a 6.
Okay.
I would say I'm at a 6 because I think once they get that O-line situation figured out, then kind of everything else work itself out. Because Goff threw a lot of checkdowns. He has to if nothing was opening up, but I don't think he had the time to really operate in the pocket the way that he needed to. And once they get that figured out, I think things will be okay. But I will say this: we did see a lot of screen passes in training camp, and I think it's going to be a recipe for disaster if your starting running back has the most targets and receptions. Like I know that things happen, but Jahmyr Gibbs cannot lead the team in receptions and targets. You have to figure out a way to get the ball to Brown, to Jameson Williams, Isaac Tesla. I know that he was sick. I know that he was sick last week. I understand Dan Campbell's rationale for wanting to ease him into it, but you got to play him more than 3 snaps. You just have to. And that's my biggest thing right there. They're going to have to figure out a way to design up some schemes to get these receivers open. But again, I think it all starts with getting that pass protection correct, because it just wasn't there.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball, Kory, my biggest thing has just been the trenches this whole week since Sunday afternoon. And Dan's answered a couple questions about the defensive line getting home and the one-on-ones. What are your thoughts on this D line? I know with AQM, Hutch, and Marcus Davenport, how did you think Marcus Davenport was? And do you think that this is something kind of moving forward? Are they going to start looking at it at some point that, hey, they regret not bringing Zadarius back? What are your thoughts on that whole defensive line situation right now?
Well, here's the thing about Zadarius, and I want to be respectful because Zadarius is damn good. He's a good player, but all right. So if you count his last 5 games in Detroit, including the loss to the Commanders, he only had 1 sack and 7 pressures over that span. And if you go back and look at what Aiden Hutchinson was doing, and when he started the season, Hutch was getting at least 4 pressures a game. So obviously you wanted to see what Zadarius, you wanted to bring him back and see what he looked like, along with Hutch in there. But I'm guessing they were thinking, hey, a healthy Davenport could do the same thing. They're going to figure out how to dial up something to get some pressures, but also too, you don't have Aleem McNeil there. So that's also killing your interior. You're having you're having Tyreek Williams playing alongside DJ Reader. And while we think that Tyreek is going to be able to grow into to that type of player, even though he did say that his pass rush is underrated, I see it from him right now. So it's not just, oh, they didn't have that edge depth. You're also missing Aleem McNeil, and he made a lot of things go last year when they didn't have that edge depth, and when you saw how things look when he left. So I don't know how they're going to go ahead and figure that out. I believe Kel Shepard's going to, he's been in that building long enough. He's learned the AG for a couple of years, so they're going to have to, do some things. But I don't know if it's so much as they did not go out and bring back Zadarius. I think you can just argue in general that they should have prioritized adding, more quality depth in general. And on that interior line. I mean, I know they got Roy Lopez, and remains to be seen how good he will be in the Detroit scheme. But I think just in general, just addressing the edge should have been something that should have been done, not necessarily bringing back Zadarius exactly.
Yeah, Kory, I want to ask you about Terran Arnold. I know he's dealing with a groin injury that seems to be more positive, but what did you kind of make of his debut in just general? I know the secondary it's hard, but just really go secondary in general, because it seemed like you were there every day in training camp. It seemed like the secondary people were kind of fired up about, and then you go to this Packers receiving core and it's like, well, they're not J-Mo or Amon-Ra, but you wouldn't have thought. I mean, it looked like they had Calvin Johnson and Jerry Rice out there. What'd you think of how this secondary kind of played, and Terran Arnold's debut kind of in year two? What'd you think of all of it? DJ Reed as well.
DJ Reed was okay. I thought the secondary in totality just was not really good at all. Just to be quite frank, I thought that Terrion, I mean, he said he injured his groin on the second. Oh, there goes the computer flickering. He said he injured his groin. Well, he said he injured his groin on the Packers drive game. I think that I respect the fact that he wanted to stay out there and play, but I mean, he said it didn't really bother him. But I mean, you look on that third Packers drive, the one where they loved bang bang on those two plays and got the score. Terrion got beat pretty bad on post, so I think he probably should have been a little bit forthcoming about that. But also, too, it's not just the fact that the secondary was cooked. I mean, there were some bonehead penalties too. Like, I mean, Brian Branch snatching off Kraft's helmet and then rolling like bowling ball. I mean, that was a 15-yard penalty and got them right there, the knock on the door. So they just the whole team, they just unraveled and were not as composed as we're used to seeing from them. And the thing is about this, they maybe not have echoed my words exactly, but they know just being in the locker room, they know that they did not play their best. They're holding each other accountable. And I'm expecting that, just off of some of the guys that I did talk to, they're going to come out and play with their hair on fire when they host Ben Johnson and the Bears.
Yeah, great transition there, Kory. I was just about to ask you your thoughts on the matchup here with the Chicago Bears. Obviously, they lost last night. Lions didn't look great Sunday. What's your confidence level going into Sunday at 1:00 versus Chicago Bears with those Lions teams?
Well, the Lions have not lost back-to-back games since Week 8 in 2022. I expect that to keep on going. I believe Ben Johnson's coming into a hornet's nest. And, I mean, look, last night, that first drive, their passing looked great. I mean, it looked solid. It looked pretty good. It looked great. Their rushing attack left a lot to be desired. And as the game went on, I mean, hey, if I'm not mistaken, he started 10 for 10. And then he finished the game. Caleb Williams started the game 10 for 10. Then finished the game 11 or 24, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think that he's going. And that was at home. And that was at home, mind you.
Yep.
I mean, they had 4 false starts in the first half. So I think 3 of them were from Jonah Jackson, if I'm not mistaken, too. So, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, shout out Jonah.
So I believe that if the Bears have the showing that they did last night, they could get a run out of Ford Field because, I'm not trying to overlook a pick six, but if it were not for that pick six thrown by JJ McCarthy, that score would have not been as close as it was because again, after that first quarter and a half, Caleb Williams did not play that great. So, I mean, we'll see. I think they're gonna. I think Ben knows some of the schemes of this defense, so he's gonna be able to. They're gonna score some points, but do I think it's gonna be? Do I think they're gonna win? I got the Lions winning this one. I would say pretty handily. Nothing crazy, but maybe like a 10 points, 14 points. I mean, that's still a lot in the NFL.
Yeah, agreed. I think the big thing with me, Kory, that's been I shouldn't say it's shocking, but it is weird to see is the NFC North odds. Like you have the Lions third right now to win the division at plus 410. The Vikings are plus 290 and the Packers are the favorites, rightfully so, at minus 120. Which kind of your thoughts on this NFC North division? You got to see JJ last night, Caleb, you said inconsistent. Packers obviously beat the Lions. This is a team that's won back-to-back NFC North championships. Many assume that it was going to be another one this year, maybe in a closer fashion, but still, how should Lions fans feel right now after that week one performance? I know it's week one, but the rest of this division kind of where it's at. What do you think? Because it's all two young quarterbacks, and then you have Jordan Love, but it's still a very tough division, which is odd. So it's hard to predict how good JJ is going to be or how good Caleb's going to be. There's so much uncertainty there.
All right, so I'm gonna try to be layered on this. First, I gotta be truthful. When I wrote my season prediction, I had the Lions winning the NFC North. But I believe when I went on the podcast, I said I had the Bears that had the Packers winning the North, but the Lions still going to the playoffs and going to the Super Bowl from the wild card. And that was my latest one, and that's where I'm sticking with it. I had the Packers winning the division, but I had the Lions still winning, getting a wild card spot and making a Super Bowl run. And I believe it's still possible, but and also I got to add this too. When we did our game by game predictions, I had the Lions splitting with the Packers, but I didn't have them losing Sunday's game. I had them winning Sunday's game and losing the other game against the Packers. So I had them going 5-1 and having them going 5-1 in the division. So I will say that if they lose against the Packers, against the Bears, they're definitely not winning the division because I don't think they're going to be able to win it with 2 losses. Not at all. But the panic, I mean, I have panic right now, but I will say that Sunday is a must-win game. I know people hate to. I know people hate to kind of think about that too early, but first off, again, you cannot go 0-2 in the division. You want to go 0-2 to start your season, but if you go 0-2 to start your season and 2 of those losses are in your division, that's almost a death. And then you will be 0-2 going into that Monday night football game against the Ravens, and then you have that gauntlet of a schedule going after that. Yeah.
I rightfully so. Lamar, after seeing the Ravens, they lost, but Lamar Jackson, that dude is he beats up on NFC North. He beats up on NFC teams.
NFC teams, yeah.
Yeah, he really does. Kory, we appreciate the hell out of you, man. You battled.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
I always love your comments. And I saw one just pop up that said, "Why does he have on buffs in the house?" First off, I hate to do this again.
Yeah.
Get your damn Detroit culture up. These are wires. Buffs are from Buffalo Horn. These are wires. All Cartier glasses not buffs. They're buffs. There's wires and there's woods. Does it matter? Yes. And if you don't think it matters, you're not really from the inner city of the D. You're probably from the suburbs. Hate to go there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you know what? You need to clarify, Kory. That's just how it goes. I think it's the second time you had to clarify that.
I think
it's the second time. It's. I know people are like, does it matter? Doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Because you're talking stupid.
Yeah, you know, that's why we love you, Kory. You keep it real with the people. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. Keep up the good work. Good luck this weekend.
Peace.
There
Appreciate
you
it,
go.
Kory.
Kory Woods, these are wires. I love it. Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, officialctsports.com.